It is the eve of the crucial APC National Convention, and tonight we analyze the issues trailing the conduct of the exercise. And the committee has emerged to be led by the Imo State Governor on monitoring and supervision of the convention as the consensus issues become more contentious. Tonight, we'll find out, is there a unity list, and who are those on that unity list? Stay with us right here on the program. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloye in Abuja. Let's begin tonight by telling you that the People's Democratic Party has filed a suit at the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, challenging the governance structure of the All Progressives Congress APC and its planned convention, seeking the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC to deregister the ruling party. The PDP has approached the court to argue that the APC, by its entire structure, has run foul of the constitutional provision for running a political party and cannot continue to contend with the PDP and other law-abiding political parties in the business of interest aggregation, mass mobilization, and political participation. The opposition party is telling the court that by a certified true copy of INEC's list of APC current EXCO, the party is being run by a 13-member EXCO, which is below the constitutional stipulations in Section 223 of the 1999 Constitution that the executive or governing body of a political party must be drawn from the 2/3 of the 36 states of Nigeria, which is mathematically 24. The PDP is therefore urging on the court to declare all the prior acts of the May Malabuni-led caretaker committee leading to the institution of the suit, as well as subsequent acts, including the convention of tomorrow, as null and void, and proceed further to order a deregistration of the APC by INEC in line with Section 225A of the 1999 Constitution. Well, in view of the consensus arrangement and realignment of forces over elective offices ahead of tomorrow's All Progressives National Convention, the party has set up an APC National Convention Technical Committee on monitoring and supervision of the convention. The committee is expected to ensure that the convention is conducted in line with the extant laws of the country and that of the party. And part of the terms of the committee is to help guide the conduct of the election process to be in accordance with the relevant laws. The governor of Imo State, Senator Hope Uzodinma, has been appointed as the chair of that committee, while the governor of Zamfara State, Governor Matawale, will co-chair, and the Minister of Education, Mr. Adamu Adamu, is the secretary. Some members of the committee include the governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, the Minister of Justice and the AGF, Abubakar Malami, Minister of Aviation, Hadi Serika, and that of Humanitarian Affairs, Sadiya Umar Farouk, are members of the 35-member committee. The letter of appointment cited by Channels Television was signed by the governor of Niger State, Abubakar Sani Bello, in the capacity as the acting chair of the caretaker committee of the APC. Meanwhile, monitoring the national convention of the APC and the preparations, we were at the grounds at the Eagle Square earlier, but it does look and appears that they might be set. As far as the eyes can see, pictures taken earlier in the day show the arrangement made by the different committees of the party. Beyond the convention and the preparations, now come the reality of the conduct of that election. So you can see for yourself the early activities at the convention ground, which is at the Eagle Square in Abuja. As far as Nigerians are concerned, political parties are supposed to bequeath the benefit of democracy to Nigerians, the average people on the street. The lives and livelihood of the average citizens matter when it comes to policy and governance, isn't it? So In the last 8 years or so of the ruling APC, what has the party bequeathed to the people of Nigeria, and have they kept the promises they made at the campaigns? Is the lives or the lives of Nigerians better? As the ruling APC gets into the Eagle Square tomorrow, is the party thinking about what it's doing to benefit Nigerians? Tonight, we'll be speaking with one of the leaders of the party on what legacy the APC is leaving for Nigeria. But we'll get to my guest in a moment. But let's take a look at some of your political roundup stories.
I humbly come into this political contest with a pedigree of integrity.
Faith in God, support of Nigerians, and an unblemished record of excellence, integrity, youthfulness, and global experience and exposure. These are the attributes that publisher of Ovation International magazine, Dele Momodu, says would lead him to victory in his bid to become Nigeria's next president. Mr. Momodu stated this during a press briefing shortly after obtaining the letter of intent and nomination form to contest the primaries for the 2023 presidential election on the platform of the People's Democratic Party. He appreciated his supporters, particularly youths, who contributed the 40 million naira for the nomination document. He challenged party members to give opportunity to fresh hands like him to direct the affairs of Nigeria rather than recycle old hands.
Leadership is not always about politics and politicking, but about managing people and resources successfully.
And former President of Senate, Pius Ayim, has promised to usher in a better Nigeria based on the principles of equity and fairness if elected as the president in the 2023 election. He was speaking shortly after picking his nomination form at the Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party. Mr. Ayim appreciated his friends and associates who contributed money to purchase the document. For the group of supporters, they said they were moved by the excruciating hardship Nigerians are passing through at the moment, and it would take the experience and competence of the former secretary to the government of the Federation.
I want to assure you that by the time we run Nigeria in the first 1 year, the condition of living in Nigeria will be such that you will count it profitable to have been part of this project.
Former Deputy Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives has resigned from the All Progressives Congress. The two-term House of Representative member tendered his resignation letter at the state APC Secretariat in Oshogbo, the Osun State capital. When contacted for confirmation, the media aide to the Osun APC chairman, Kola Olabisi, said the chairman was unaware of Honorable Yusuf's resignation. The Federal High Court in Abuja has postponed its judgment on the suit filed by the People's Democratic Party, asking to declare the seat of the Cross River State Governor, Ben Ayade, his deputy, Ivara Esu, vacant, following the defection to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, till April 6. The presiding judge, Justice Taiwo, had earlier fixed for today. Though the court did not give reasons for the postponement, it, however, notified the parties about the new date through the court's list. In its suit, the PDP prayed the court to sack both Mr. Ayade and his deputy, contending that both of them have then abandoned the political party that sponsored their re-election or to vacate their respective offices. The advocacy group of Bukola Saraki for president has visited the Ogun State Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party to woo leaders and delegates ahead of the party's presidential primary on the 28th of May. Speaking at the meeting, the leader of the delegation, Adenekan Olateru Olagbegi, affirmed that the former president of Senate, Bukola Saraki, remained a man to beat.
I don't have anything against elderly people, but there are times for things.
Thank you so much. Beyond the frenzy about the APC National Convention, the big question is, the APC as a political organization was seeking for power. They got power, but what have they done with the power? The promises, have they, those promises culminated into real performance? It's about 7 years since the party got into government under President Muhammadu Buhari. But what are the benefits of that government to the average Nigerian on the street? Tonight, I'm being joined by a member of the APC Legacy Committee. He's the former governor of Lagos State, who served 2 terms after Bola Tinubu as governor of Lagos State. He's serving a 2nd term as Minister of the Federal Cabinet, as a Minister in charge of Works and Housing. He's a lawyer. Sometimes they call him the Super Minister. Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. He joins us right here on the program, albeit virtually. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight. And I guess we should begin so congratulations to your party, because several times now that your party has postponed this convention, it looks so much that it will happen tomorrow. But beyond all of the rhetorics of the convention, election, who becomes the leader of the party, what position, the big question is the average Nigerian. In the 7 years of your party in government, would you say that your party has lived up to expectation based on the promises you made in 2014, 2015, and in fact at the 2019 campaigns?
Good evening, and let me say that we have done our work very diligently. We have made progress, and let me start by say that in terms of the economy and some of its drivers like agriculture and infrastructure, some of the things that our opponents said they would do and never resolved in 16 years, we have resolved or are about to resolve it in under 8 years. So in your part of the world, in the Southwest, the Lagos-Ibadan was an open sore for 16 years. It is almost finished now, and people are already beginning to experience the difference and the impact. In the northern part of the country, the Kano-Maiduguri road, the east-west connection, the 560-kilometer highway, sections of it covering over 300 kilometers have been completed. The second Niger Bridge that we used to hear about only during election campaigns, and it disappears into thin air after votes have been secured on the basis of those promises, is now visible and nearing completion. The Apapa-Woro-Shoki Expressway, which is a major evacuation road for Nigeria's largest and busiest port, that road was left unattended to. It is nearly finished now. So, and these are just a sampling across sectors. Last year, we handed over sections of roads in Kebbi, in Jigawa, in Bauchi, in Cross River to Vandekia Obudu, Newe Nduma in Ebonyi State, and there's more to come. Universities, tertiary institutions, we're in 77 tertiary institutions. Their neglected internal road networks are being fixed as I speak. We've completed over 40. Bridges that were built decades ago were left unattended and unmaintained. We are restoring, rehabilitating, repairing, and maintaining over 37 bridges, and there's more to be done. Federal secretariats across this country, 25 of them were left in a state of disrepair. For the most critical people, the public service workforce of the federal government, they worked in conditions which were totally incompatible with productivity. Right now, they're wearing new looks, and we have created opportunities for people through maintenance contracts. So right now, in every state of this country, we're building a road, we're building houses, we're building federal secretariats, we're repairing bridges, or we're doing everything together in some states. So in that area, and when you look at the last GDP report, it is the biggest growth recorded in the last 7 years. Don't forget that at the twilight of the previous administration, the finance minister came out to warn everybody that a recession was imminent. So if their scorecard was that good, why did they not prepare to avert that recession? So it's not whether or not a recession would have happened, it is what we have done after. We've gone into one, we've recovered from it, the one that they foretold. We went into another one that the whole world could not avoid, and we have recovered. One of the fastest recoveries globally, if you ask me. And you will see that during a recession, the most impacted people are service providers. It is the service industry that picks up last, and they are the first to be impacted. In the last GDP report, go and look at what is happening to the services sector. There's still work to be done, and whatever problems Nigeria may have, and I say this very seriously, the umbrella parish is not the answer to those problems, because many of them happened or were allowed to happen or were created during their 16 years of very unmeritorious service.
I mean, you've given a long list of some of what this government has done, and perhaps whether or not they are evenly distributed, that's another conversation. One of the biggest projects that this government was, in terms of infrastructure, is that this government will say, make reference to, is the second Niger bridge. I know that you've been talking about that for the Southeast people. They've seen agitation in that region of the country. But what is the latest on that? How much of the percentage can you say that that project has experienced, and when will it be effectively delivered to the people of that region and the nation?
Okay, let me correct one impression that a project located in one particular place belongs to the community or is for the benefit of those people alone. That is a very wrong, and perhaps, if you permit, that is a narrow way of looking at the location and situation of infrastructure. The port in Lagos, for example, does not belong to the people of Lagos. It belongs to the people of Nigeria. All people from all parts of Nigeria use that port. The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway going on to Ore from Shagamu or going on to Oyo or Gbomosho, for example, does not belong to the people from those states. It is a pan-Nigerian highway. So in terms of connectivity, the second Niger Bridge actually provides a connectivity between the east of Nigeria and the west of Nigeria. Because once you leave Asaba, you are coming to Benin and you are coming down to Undo and Ore, coming to Lagos. And if you go the other way, you are heading to the east and parts of the south-south. In terms of performance and execution, I was there barely 2 weeks ago. The bridge component of the road will be finished by April because there are just 2 gaps to close and they're launching the beams. And that was what I think the Chief of Staff to the President was trying to address when he said that will be completed in April, and perhaps there was some misunderstanding in what he meant. The bridge component, completing the bridge work, and April this year. Now, the link road, and you've seen some of the visuals, the toll plazas, the interchange at Owerri, and the link road to Asaba. All of that will be completed and opened to the public in the last quarter of this year. We're running to ensure that we do that before the end of this year, and we are optimistic, touch wood, that that will happen. We've lost time due to COVID. We've lost some time due to the Monday sit-at-home orders in the East. So we have lost every Monday opportunity for work, but we are trying, and the contractors assure us that they can make the revised deadline.
Interesting. So in terms of, I know that it's not something that will come as fast as the monies compared to the monies that have been spent on the second Niger Bridge, for example. You mentioned toll. What are the expectations? How many of those points on that bridge will be tolled? And what are the revenue expectations of government on that bridge?
There is one tolling point that has 16 tolling lanes. In terms of revenue expectation, what we know for now is that the last traffic study that we did showed that the Asaba-Onitsha link was processing roughly about 30,000 vehicles a day. What this road offers is a choice from that congestion. How many people will choose to go this way and make their journeys quicker, more pleasurable, and pay for that service is a matter that we will deal with in terms of surveys. Right now, we are rushing and doing everything to ensure that this project, like many other projects, this is not the only project we're focused on, are delivered as promptly and as effectively as we can before the end of our tenure. Of course, there are many projects that will not be finished in the tenure of this administration, the Buhari-led administration, and that would, for me, be a reason for members of the electorate to make an informed choice that who do you want to continue with it, those who didn't start it or those who started it and time didn't permit them to finish it. That would be a reason for conversation in future as the electorate make their choices. The other party has had 16 years to fiddle with this, and what they have really done is just fiddling. A lot of talk without motion or movement. Now we have momentum, and I am sure that trusted with this mandate again, we will do more, and we will complete also many more of the projects that the pressures of time and resources may not have permitted us to complete.
One major project that there is a lot of interest in is the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. We're seeing a lot of activity on that road, even that preceded this government. Now, this government effectively went on site, and a lot of money has also been budgeted. Can you give us an exact day of conclusion on that Lagos-Ibadan Expressway?
Sheung, that road will be completed and open finally to full use without diversions by the end of this year. And I say that advisedly because in the last few days, I have had to explain to people some of the challenges that we see with road construction. That is a highway that processes almost 50,000 vehicles a day. So our workers and the contractors have to work in a manner that they are safe, they are not crossed, so we divert traffic. So traffic management is one major obstacle. Also, we have to recover the right of way, and that takes time, working with the local communities, the state governments, and we have received cooperation from all the state governments, Lagos and Oyo states. We are working on the Ibadan side now towards the toll gate. Some electricity poles and utilities have to be relocated. That means that we have to work with the Ibadan Disco, who are the owners of those assets. These are things that you don't see. Just this evening, before this interview, I've had to approve for a gas pipeline company the right of way to lay a 60-kilometer gas pipeline, because these are other infrastructures that the economy is going to need. And President Buhari and APC's commitment is to a total infrastructure revamp for our country. Gas, broadband, airports, seaports, railway, road networks, so that we become the globally competitive nation that we can be. Provide our people with choice. You saw a few days ago the new airport in Lagos that will process 14 million passengers. I've said before that we had outgrown our infrastructure as a family, as a people. And instead of our opponents in the last 16 years to invest in expanding those infrastructure, everybody just complained and nothing got done. So the Murtala Mohammed Airport Terminal 1 that was built to process just 400,000 passengers a year in 1975, it was a fantastic edifice when it was open, but what was Nigeria's population then? So we outgrew it. 8 million people were using an airport annually meant to process 400,000 people. How many planes were flying in 1975? So this administration recognizes as a progressive that the way to impact and improve the condition of the human being is to provide choice, provide comfort. And so what you will see is a 14 million passenger throughput capacity per annum airport in Terminal 2. You will also see employment of 3,000 plus people operating, using, maintaining, and making that place a proper destination for all of those who visit. So
Minister,
for those of our opponents,
yeah.
I need to say this, for those of our opponents who say that infrastructure does not help the economy, they should find something else to say. they're totally wrong. And they should not say it on behalf of Nigeria anywhere in the world. They will embarrass themselves.
All right, Honorable Minister, I have a few questions within the limited time that we have. And quickly, I'd like to ask you, give us an understanding of what is happening to the street light infrastructure on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Something is happening there, but you can shed light on that. What exactly is happening to the street light infrastructure on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway?
Okay, so I don't exactly know which part, but let me tell you, globally across the world, it is not standard practice to put street lights on interstate highways. What is best practice is that in the last few kilometers into any major city that highway connects, then it is lit up. So the ingress into Lagos and the exit out of Lagos will be part of this street lighting. As you approach Oguntu and the built-up areas, you see street lighting. Between Shagamu and some of the parts that are just largely farmland on both sides, standard practice worldwide is not to put street lighting on them. As you approach major cities, maybe like Ogiri and Ibadan, you will see it again and on and on and that. And you can verify what I say. You don't light up a 560-kilometer road anywhere in the world or a 127-kilometer highway in the world. I haven't seen it. I would like to see those kind of things. But in terms of specifics, I don't know what exactly you are talking about.
I'd love to go into details, but I still have a few more questions. Let's move on to something else. And quickly, because I like to take you to the impact of some of these infrastructure projects, which it does look like the Muhammadu Buhari administration has a lot of interest in, and which you are playing a major role. But, I mean, one thing that is embarrassing and is perhaps unsafe is some kind of the breakdown of some of the trains at some lonely parts of the tracks. What is happening and what is the government doing? I mean, these engines and they can break down. That's for a fact. But the question is, what is being done so as to avoid the consistent and constant breakdown of this train, leaving people insecure in some very lonely areas?
Okay, first of all, let me say that I feel very proud that in my lifetime, I can travel by a train from Lagos to Ibadan or from Abuja to Kaduna, and I've done so. And the network will expand more. Now, what is also true is that regrettably, every man-made equipment breaks down from time to time. That challenges our maintenance. We have approved a maintenance policy. We are gradually implementing them. I've told you about secretariats. They're coming, they're on the roads. And I'm sure the Nigerian Railway Corporation, who is the agency in charge of that program, will do the needful and rectify it. You know that we have also had people going to vandalize the apparatus, some of the rail tracks. NRC has responded, and they will respond to this. And my apologies to those who felt any discomfort at all by the experience. We learn from it, and we will improve in terms of service delivery. But this is the reality. Even people who have longer experience than us in managing trains, the service breaks down sometimes, and they have to bring relief and assistance. So, and I'm sure this will be investigated and appropriate action taken to ensure that it doesn't repeat itself. What you cannot guarantee is that problems will not happen. Problems will happen. What is important is that what do you do after, and we will resolve this and put it behind us.
I'm in a fix now. I have 2 questions left, and I don't know because of the eloquence of the Honorable Minister and being able to answer those questions within a few minutes that I have. I'd like to show you this. There are some indicators that I'd like you to talk to. You are one person that I've interviewed, and it's always very difficult sometimes to be able to get you off. When you want to explain something, you explain it. You're a lawyer, so I can understand when you explain things convincingly. But I don't know how you'll be able to convince Nigerians based on what your government is doing and what it means on the food on the table of Nigerians. Look at these economic indicators. with the help of our friends and financial derivatives. Look at it, Honorable Minister. Just 2 years, comparison of 2 years. Electricity, 5,440 megawatts. You have been quoted, widely, as to say, look, electricity is not a big deal. It could be fixed. But for this year, 2,000 megawatt, 63% of change. Diesel 190. It's being sold at average price of 650 naira. Petrol 145, 165. The bag of flour 8,500. 2 years ago, and now 22,500. Oil price $43, $103. People will say, what difference does it make in terms of the economy of Nigeria? The inflation has gotten about 2.5% up. 13.2% is gotten to 15.70%. Naira, 365, 2 years ago, 582. Things have gone incredibly bad in the last 2 years if you look at these economy indicators. So if you're doing infrastructure, the big question is that in the monies in the pocket of Nigerians and the food on their table, how can this government convince Nigerians that it's making their lives better?
Well, we will make our case as the election approaches, and our convention and our report giving is the first step towards that. I cannot speak about power, and I think it would be unfair to my colleague who manages that ministry now, because I don't have the details that he has. But in terms of cost of living and all of those other indices, I think it is perhaps not helpful to publish that sheet or spreadsheet in isolation. What you should do is compare it to the rest of the world. Tell me anywhere in the world where the cost of living is not rising, whether it is the UK, US, just 2 or 3 days ago, CNN was showing a footage of Americans stealing fuel. And they wouldn't be stealing if it was cheap or it was in demand. They were actually stealing. And I said, clearly, these are very challenging times globally for the entire world. So this is not an isolated occurrence that affects Nigeria only. And I think reporting and this kind of journalism that you were talking about deserves that this should be shown in its fullest context. And then the Nigerian issue is isolated. What are we doing about it? We're doing a lot about it. We're talking about it. When COVID happened, we responded. We put up an economic sustainability committee, and we cushioned the impact of the difficult times on Nigerians through a suite of measures. And the impact and the result is now there for us to see.
I regret the fact that we may not have the full time to debate with the Honorable Minister on some of these indicators, and perhaps based on the promises your government make to Nigerians, Nigerians need to ask these critical questions if their lives are better. But I have one more question in the few seconds left, but we'll take a break. And when we come back, everyone, we'll conclude in the few seconds we have with Honorable Minister for Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, and I will be joined by the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, His Excellency Governor Abdullahi Sule, who is the chairman of APC Convention Media Subcommittee. And the question is, where is the unity list? And who are those on that list? We'll find out right here on the program, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, and welcome back to the program, everyone. I've been speaking with the Honorable Minister for Works in the House and the former Governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Fashola. Our concluding moment with him. I tell you that I've interviewed him for several times, but he's one of the very difficult person to debate with. He has a way of debating his way out of very difficult figures, which he's trying to do tonight. But there's no time to debate on those figures. But on a final note, Honorable Minister, what a lot of people will say is there any difference between all these political parties, the APC, the PDP? Sometimes the APC will say they are the left of the center, PDP will say they are the right of the center, the welfareists, they are this, they are that. I mean, what is the APC and what makes it different? You say you are a progressive party, and some people will say, in fact, you stole that term from them and all of that. Is the APC different from any political party? If you can do that for us in 30 seconds, we'll be glad.
First of all, there's nothing patented about the use of the word progressive. There's no patent about it. So let me dispel that very quickly. The next point to make is that what do you do? Progressivism for me means being concerned about improving the human condition. All of the investments that we have made, whether for business, employment, all of this, aim at only one thing, improving the human condition. The numbers about which you say there will be a debate on cost of living is a very welcome debate, and we will be prepared to deal with them against our opponents. But let me just remind you, our opponents had 16 years. We beat them at the peak of their powers when they had almost 30 governors. We beat them again in 2019, and we will do it again because I don't remember them providing one alternative to the all options we are giving or an alternative to the measures that we have proposed. So they have really been an uninspiring opposition. And when the time comes, we will show that to the Nigerian people that we are still worthy of their trust and worthy of their services because we can solve these problems. The umbrella is not an alternative to any of the problems that Nigeria has.
Your Excellency, the Honorable Minister for Works and Housing, that's just about what we can take on the program tonight. But this debate, I guess, is a time for us to talk policy and governance. Is a season this year because we're going into the election year 2023, and I guess we'll have these conversations. But thank you so much for coming on tonight. Babatunde Raji Fashola, Honorable Minister for Works and Housing. Thank you so much indeed, Senior Advocate of Nigeria.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Let's switch gears now. We'll be talking about the APC and their preparations ahead of tomorrow. I'm being joined by yet another very eloquent and another one that is very difficult to have a debate with in terms of he convinces you in some ways in his eloquence. He's an engineer turned politician, the executive governor of Nasarawa State, who chairs the media subcommittee of the APC National Convention. Governor Abdullahi Sule is here with me in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for having me.
I saw that you were smiling when the Minister Fashola was talking about those figures. But first and foremost, I guess is a good time for us to clear some air about what is happening in your party. First and foremost, let's look into the issue of the meeting with President Buhari, with some of the legacy or the founding members of the APC. What came out of that meeting? Was it the fact that the president was able to convince them on who will become the next president or the next presidential candidate of the party?
Thank you very much, Sean, for having me. I think first and foremost, it's an opportunity, for the president to remind all the major stakeholders. He started the meeting with the governors, and then he met with the aspirants, and then he met with all the legacy founding fathers of the party. So and the message was the same, continuously. This is what we have done. This is where we have been. This is where we are today, and we must do everything to keep this party united, keep the people united, continue to provide all the good things that we have been providing for the people of Nigeria, but more importantly, ensure that we go into this election united so that we can win this election. I think that has been the message as far as the president is concerned, since he started up till this moment.
I'm not sure your party or any party, PDP has had its own fair share of problems. APCA has had its own fair share of problems. And the APC, this is perhaps the most tumultuous and the most turbulent period of the life of this party in the last 8 years. The unity of this party, you are re-echoing it, that you want unity. It's obvious that the party is in disarray. You're trying to just hold it together, that is not, going to stretch. But obviously, there is one factor that is holding the party together, and it's Muhammadu Buhari, who is the leader of the party. People would say, analyze that if not for Buhari, this party would have long been forgotten. What has divided your party this badly?
Well, I don't know about the division you are talking about so badly. Some of the information you hear and some of the news you see and everything that you hear about political parties are far worse than what you see in APC. Yes, we have had situations where, remember, this party is being run by a caretaker committee, And as a result, these were people who were brought in together. Some of them has experience in running political parties. Some of them don't. And they were brought in together, to see the takeover, at a time we were having challenges, with the unity of the party. And they had taken over, and they did their best. Because even when they took over, you can see they were able to get at least 3 sitting governors of the different and they were able to join us. So if we were so much in this disarray that you have mentioned, probably those people will not join us. So many parliamentarians have actually joined us. So many members of the State House of Assembly have joined us. Not one governor actually left, from APC to another one. So I don't know the disarray that you are talking about.
Because your opposition make a mockery of how you are not able to stage an election. You've had a caretaker committee for almost 2 years. I mean, what more can be of a disarray than that? No, a political organization that cannot hold a national convention for several months. You've been planning this.
Well, when we have it tomorrow, all that will come to an end. You have to understand the various things that have happened during the period. This is a party that when we came in, we didn't even have a register. And so many political parties today don't have register. So they came in, the first thing they needed to do, we gave them 6 months, to go ahead and actually have the convention. But they realized we didn't even have a register. So to have a convention, what are you going to use as your base? It took us a while to go ahead and ensure that we have a register. So after having the register, then we went through the various stages. Remember, this is all the same time period of the COVID. That they had to go through. They say, no, certain people couldn't get together. If it was consensus, you couldn't do that. So with all those challenges, at least behind us now, tomorrow, by the grace of God, we're having a convention.
Hopefully, you'll be able to have a convention.
We are having a convention.
I mean, I've, in my life, covering politics, that ground has been very historic for political parties. The PDP, at a year, NPDP walked out of a sitting president at that arena. I hope that doesn't happen to your party.
No.
Because that was the beginning of a certain end for the PDP. That's how they lost power in 2015. In 2014, there was a walkout of governors and leaders of the party at that same arena. And similar thing that was happening in the PDP is happening in your party. The big question is now that the issue of consensus. You are, interestingly, you are in the middle here because you have a Tanko Al-Makura, you have an Adamu Abdullahi, but it does look, we're hearing now that the president favors Adamu Abdullahi. Is it the consensus candidate for the chairmanship seat?
Well, the president has spoken, and I think it has already become so public. The president had sat down actually with all these other aspirants, and the president had disclosed to the aspirants, his direction. And the aspirants have been meeting, and I believe this evening they are also going to make a decision, out of respect for the president, to say that, yes, the president, we are going to go. So you can now see the difference between what we are talking about and what you said happened in 2015 when some people walk out. So tomorrow you won't see anybody walking out, you will only see people walking in. This I promise you.
There's a walkout today already. A deputy speaker of the former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Lassun, has walked out of your party. That's a walkout. On the eve of your party, such a leader in the party has staged a walkout.
We had people better than him. We have 3 governors, sitting governors that had walked in. So if one person walk out, we had 3 sitting governors that walk in. And we had so many of his own category, speakers, members of House of Assembly, these other people have walked in, during this period. So that's what I'm telling you. That one may be some problem in Oshun that I'm not aware of, and I'm not competent to speak on something like that I don't know. But I don't think that is a major issue as far as this convention is concerned. So I think it's one thing that has happened. It's similar to, you see, I was smiling actually when we had Babatunde Fashola actually speaking. He spoke eloquently, as far as what the government has done. But one area, because that's why he is telling you that you are looking at it from one angle. You are not looking at the total picture. Why? If somebody will ask you, okay, fine. Yeah, you have mentioned about prices that have moved up. This has moved up. I know you are an investigative journalist, and you know this. In 2015, when this government came to power, the total revenue realized from VAT was roughly about 750 billion. By 2021, that amount had more than doubled to over 1.5 trillion. So these are the kinds of things that you have seen. Now, going into the capital market, in 2015, the total capitalization of the capital market that you are mentioning was roughly just about 7 trillion. Today, as we are talking about as at this morning, is over 25 trillion. In 2015, no company in Nigeria was making more than 100 billion naira PBT. Today, we had several institutions that are making over 300 billion. You know, so, and I can go on and on and on so that you can see the positive aspect of that.
Your Excellency, people will argue that you're quoting these figures and the differentials of all of these sectors. But the question is, you are here to serve Nigerians.
Yes.
And they don't care all of those figures. They care about the food on their table.
Yes.
And the money that they can take home. If they bought, for example, if you look at some of those figures again, and I can tell you boldly that some of them, sardine, fish, in the can, how much was it in 2020? 200 naira. It's 600 naira today.
Yes.
I mean, if there are FDI for that man, the millions of Nigerians who bought 200 naira sardine 2 years ago and buying 600 naira, do they care about such a thing?
No, they don't.
Cooking gas, 3,500 2 years ago, 8,000 naira this time around. Rice, 25,000 2 years ago. We say we are producing more. It's 30,000 naira. Now, 5,000 is fertilizer. 2 years ago, it's 16,000 naira. Inflation, 13%. It's now 15%. Now, they are buying diesel. Those who are doing business are buying diesel at the rate of 650 naira. It's even more than that, 700, 800 naira. People can no longer run their business because of the cost of diesel.
Okay,
These are what matter.
Go back to 1998. That's what matters. Go back to 1998 before PDP came in. The price of petrol and the exchange rate was 18 naira. By the time they left, was close to 200 naira. You know, you don't look at things that way. You look at them globally. I live in the US most of my life. After I graduated from school, we were buying 1 gallon of gasoline, whether it is 87, 97, or 93 octane. We were buying, nothing was more than $1. I just came back from the US now. The price was more than $5 per gallon. You know,
that's a full-blown capitalist economy.
But these are global changes you are talking about.
Your government promised. For example, one of the promises of your government is that you are going to make a dollar equivalent to a naira. Those are some of the promises. You said that you are going to make electricity better. Electricity is worse now.
No.
These are the promises you made to Nigerians.
No, electricity is better.
We're not holding you up to the things that you did not say. Those are the things that you said you were going to do.
No. Electricity is better in most places. You are now looking at just what happened, you know, when we were having some challenges. I saw when you mentioned, you know, it was 5,400 megawatts and now 2,000 megawatts because of the challenges you have today. Look at the number of substations that have been built today. Look at the number that you have built. You have built 3 times the number of 330 substations during this administration than we have had that time. You had given more opportunities for generation of power that we had in the past. You know, these are also issues that are completely different, you know, from what you are saying. But you are looking just at a window of when there are lots of, today we're having queues at the petrol stations. We didn't have queues in the past 2 years, if you remember. But today we're having, so if you just pick today as an issue, you will be running it through this. But if you have picked over this period of time, then it's completely different. That's what I'm trying to
The analogy that I would probably put is for a chef who say, I've been cooking for you for a very long time and you've had no food poison, but you had a food poison today that you can die of. I mean, and you say, oh, I've been cooking for you for several years. It does look like that kind of explanation you are giving tonight.
No, it's not.
That we have been serving you and there's been no problem, but now that there's a problem, you should overlook it. Nigerians are suffering. We're queuing at filling station. Fuel that we have in abundance under the soil and we are unable to refine on the Nigerian soil. We take them abroad and we subsidize at a very incredible and ridiculous amount.
Yes.
I mean,
and this was the practice. But fortunately, today we are having things different. Just this week, Mr. President actually went to Lagos and commissioned, for the first time, a 3 million metric tons fertilizer. For the first time, Nigeria is exporting fertilizer. So prices of fertilizer will change.
By Dangote
for the first time.
Dangote group of
the federal government of Nigeria provided all the support. Dangote will not be able to operate
without. The Nigerian government doesn't have a working refinery.
Well, and that's why Nigeria, the government anywhere, not just in Nigeria, government anywhere finds it very difficult to run businesses. Believe me. And that is the reason why government has no business being in business. But what this government realizes is that they provide the opportunities. It is this government that is providing the opportunity for the same Dangote to actually build a 600,000 barrels per day refinery, similar to the 450,000 capacity that we have that never operated. So if government realizes that you have a vision that you cannot do it, then you give it to the right people that can do it. That is what the government has realized.
We just have a few minutes left on the program, and I have a few questions to ask you in relation to tomorrow.
Okay.
Is your party ready for the convention?
We are more than ready. Tomorrow, by the grace of God, we are going to go into the convention as united people, and we are going to come out, out of that convention without any rancor.
Is the unity list ready?
Unity list is, it was ready by the time I was leaving.
So we have a unity list.
You have a
for all the position, there is just a single candidate for them.
All the positions.
And they have, you know what the new electoral law says about consensus, that they all have to sign.
We are a law-abiding political party. We will not do one thing. In fact, this evening, we came to also realize that some of the delegates that were delegates before they got political appointments, the moment we realize that they have political appointments now, even though they qualified as delegates, they have been removed. Because we are a party that believes in the rule of law.
Even if they are statutory delegates?
Even if they are statutory. As long as they do not meet up with the Electoral Act requirements, they were removed.
So Governor Fashola, for example, will not be a voting delegate tomorrow?
I don't know about whether he was even a delegate at all or not.
As a former governor?
As a former governor, he could be a delegate, but if he has political office, we have, for instance, the minister from my state. He has been taken out as a delegate in line with, to make sure that we live.
Isn't that very painful, though?
Huh?
Isn't that very painful?
Well, that's the law. Sometimes the law is painful.
All right. So you've met all the requirements for the as far as the electoral law is concerned in terms of how to settle for consensus candidate?
Definitely.
Okay, great. Adamu Abdullah is a consensus. You can confirm to us tomorrow. He's almost, presumed as the chairman of the party.
He is.
Okay, interesting. But people are agitating.
Agitating for what?
We had people on the program yesterday that said this is imposition, not a consensus.
No, imposition is different from consensus. Consensus is one of the requirements. It's provided by our constitution, and it's not against the Electoral Act. Because some people are saying it's not in the Electoral Act. It may not be, but the Electoral Act is also not against consensus. So they are two different things, and that's the reason why Mr. President refused to sign when we box each other to only one aspect of, selection, and they remove it. So since they remove it, then all the three options, direct, indirect, and consensus are allowed. And that's the direction we are going. So we are not in violation of the law.
On a final note, the PDP has gone to court that your party should be deregistered because your party has, according to them, based on section 223 now, I think, 223. Constitution and rules of political parties, that your party has run far of it.
There is no way to come through the back door to take power away from a political party that people, majority of the people, today we have over 41 million Nigerians who are members of this party. We have seen President Muhammadu Buhari elected massively by Nigerians. Our elections are different from the PDP's. Elections were not rigged. Elections went through the due process and people were elected. So if they want to come to 2023 purely for election, it's better for them to come. Going through this back door to remove this governor here, remove that here, now remove a whole political party here, it's not going to work. Just get ready for election. That's the only way that will work.
His Excellency, Engineer Abdullahi Sule, Executive Governor of Nasarawa State and the chair of the media subcommittee. I was going to ask you about the committee, the special committee that has been set up to be chaired by Governor Uzodinma. This is basically to settle the consensus. The letter that was sent, I guess if you can put the letter on, to settle the issue of consensus, isn't it? That's the idea.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Just to make sure most of these issues that you have mentioned were actually in line. We are not in violation of the law in any way. So you can now see what I mean by when I tell you that we are a law-abiding political party. So we have a whole committee of people who understand what they are doing to ensure that we are not in violation of the law in any way. That's what the committee is supposed to do.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. I appreciate it. And I wish you the very best in your committee and the convention tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. Well, before you go, know that tomorrow, Channels Television, your home for political reportage, will be on the ground at the Eagle Square and will give you all-round reporting of the convention of the APC. Stay with us throughout tomorrow and perhaps on Sunday for the coverage of the APC National Convention. That's all we can give you tonight, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye for now.